Follow the same format as we did for the candidates for selectmen. 2 candidates for the 3-year term of the moderator's position. We'll begin with Christopher Armstrong.
Okay, my name is Chris Armstrong. I live on what we think of as the Harrington Farm over at the corner of Coleman Road and Elm Street, opposite Triton. I'm like the fellow over here, a newcomer. I've only been here for around 55 years, and most towns you'd be a native by that time. But I married Liz Harrington, and a lot of people here, if your memory goes back as far as mine, may think of her as Liz Harrington, who taught at the Round School, taught grade 5. So if you had kids in the Round School, you may remember Liz Harrington. But anyway, she became Liz Armstrong, and she's here behind Dr. Russo. And anyway, I became the town moderator 3 years ago. My term is coming to an end. And it's the first time in my life that I've been able to donate some service to the town in some meaningful way. That's because my career was being a judge. I was a lawyer. I became a judge and was a judge for 38 years. So I became a judge at a very young age. And being a judge precluded me from doing any work that had to do with governance of the town. It's under the canons of judicial ethics. Judges have to stay out of that stuff. So for the first time after retirement, I was able to do something, and I was asked to run for moderator because the previous moderator, Joan Wayburn, said I've had it. And so I ran and have been the moderator for 3 years. Well, if you've been going to town meeting, you've seen me be the moderator. You've probably formed an opinion whether you'd just as soon have someone else do it, in which case my friend Lynn is ready to step in, and that's fine, but I've tried to do a good job. The job of the moderator, contrary to the job of selectman, is not to take positions on issues, but rather to stay impartial as much as possible. Make sure at town meeting that both sides get their points out so that people won't go away griping that our side was never heard. So only in the case of a tie vote will the moderator, if he wishes to, break the tie by voting. He can do it, he doesn't have to. The principal qualification, I guess, for being a moderator is to have had experience running meetings. And God knows I've had experience running meetings as a judge. It's what I did more or less every day. And that's my background and who I am. And I'm happy to offer my services again and abide by the will of the town, whether they'd like someone else to take a stint as moderator. So thank you for listening, and as I should have said at the beginning, thank you to Maggie and to Susan for organizing this and giving us a chance to speak.
And now, new candidate, Lynn Kettles.
Thank you, and thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I have to say that I really I enjoy, I appreciate our town. I've only lived here for 20 years, but I've enjoyed living in Newbury and Byfield from the very beginning. I know small towns. I'm just a poor farm boy. I grew up on a large farm in the Midwest, where my nearest neighbor was a mile away, and the town where I went to grade school, which was 3 miles from our farm, was 300 souls at the time. So I know what that small town means to people, and frankly, from my perspective, Newbury isn't even a small town. It's a pretty decent-sized town, but it's a great place to live. And so, why am I here? Well, my expertise is in communications. I've worked in the area for my professional life. I started out as a newspaper reporter and editor, and spent about 15 years doing that. And then the last 30 years I spent in public relations and public affairs. So I've worked all over, God knows how many meetings I've run in that time frame. But most recently, I have to say I'm a Vietnam veteran. I believe in giving back, and that's why I'm running. In deciding to run for office, here's how it happened. I was working with the town administration on communications, on helping us as a town do a better job of understanding what are the issues surrounding the police facility in this last town meeting. So I helped put together some of those communications. I have to say our town is doing a much better job in communicating. We still have a ways to go, but we're getting better, and I think we're learning, and we're doing a good job, and I have to give the folks credit for doing that sort of stuff. But in that process, one of the selectmen said to me they heard that Chris was considering not running, and would I please consider? So I walked down, I took out the nomination papers, and then I had a chance to talk to Chris at town meeting, and he said he was still thinking about it, so that's what happened, and then Chris decided to run, so that's why the two of us are sitting out here today. I agree with Chris. I love town meetings. They are pure democracy. They are the way that we as a society ought to learn to live and to work. And so a town isn't real estate. Town isn't, Byfield or Old Town or Plum Island. A town is the people in it. And I think we have to learn how to get along better, how to communicate better, and that means at town meeting, how to have a good, serious discussion without a lot of name calling, and moving it along and making sure that people get their side heard respectfully, and get it out there without wasting a lot of other people's time. So that's why I'm here, and I want to thank you again, and I'd like to ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, and if anyone has a question or a comment for either of the candidates for moderator?
Just two quick comments. I want to thank you both for trying to bring people together when when there's so many disagreements. And, thanks for your willingness to take on a most difficult job. It's always like a lightning storm at town meeting, and it takes some guts to stand up there and to do what you do and do what you want to do. Thank you.
Judge, I'd like to apologize for putting you through the ringer the last time. But I think people got the point that there's not enough explanation of articles that go before the town meeting, and I think they're going to have some better explanation next time.
I've been doing a lot of thinking about that since town meeting.
Not your problem.
Various ways to fill that gap.
Yeah.
And I'll discuss with you at some point the idea that I have, but despite the unconscionable number of holds that you put on various items, we got through annual town meeting and a special town meeting in 2 hours and 10 minutes, which I thought was good. And I think it is the moderator's job to try, consistent with letting both sides get their points of view out, to try to move the meeting along as a business-like matter and finish up so that people don't stay away from town meeting for fear of being there for 4 hours or 5 hours, which I've seen in the past.
And to follow up with Chris's point, I've talked with folks in town administration about ways that we can perhaps get lengthier explanations online. And as a communications person, I'm agreeing to work with them to figure out a way of the kind of explanations that you were looking for, Fred, that we can at least have them available somewhere beforehand.
On a lighter note, do you carry a copy of Robert's Rules? Did you ever go with
No.
it?
No, I don't.
I said that
We sort of follow Robert's rules, but not really exactly. And we follow the main themes of the rules, but not point by point. And there are many other rules of order. And truthfully, I run it more from experience in running court, where the job is similar, giving both sides ample time to make their point of view known, but try to bring it to a close when their point of view is made known, so that people don't have to hear it over and over again. And so there's a little artistry involved, I think, in trying to do that. And it's not always answered in the pages of Robert's Rules of Order. There's a book for moderators that was written by a very capable guy many years ago. We use that sort of as our handbook for procedure at town meeting.
Everyone.
I think that this gentleman here, you've mentioned about the number of people attending town meeting, and part of it has to do with the length of time. The elderly do not want to be out all night, you know, and it's too bad that they don't get a chance to vote because of their age and their infirmity.
I remember at one of the town meetings that we had on the subject of the town hall repairs plus police station repairs plus fire, all in one big package. There were busloads of people who came from the housing, the elderly housing, and enabled many elderly people to attend town meeting. And I think they actually had some fun at the town meeting. They seemed to, they were the ones who stayed, as opposed to the younger people who had to get back to relieve babysitters.
It almost always beats what's on TV today.
Yeah, but the last town meeting, you know, part of it is doing a better job of communications beforehand, so that people have a better and clearer understanding of what's coming up. Then, if that's the case, then it should be a matter of having a much more efficient discussion and an ability to move that forward. So it's not the moderator's job, but people like myself who can volunteer to help make that happen, so that we all can understand better the issues that we're going to be discussing on a particular night. But this last special town meeting, I think because everybody worked together to do a good job of communicating, we had so many people that, frankly, we didn't have enough of the technology clickers to pass around, so, those kinds of things happen.
Any other questions or comments?
Is there something sacred about the 7 o'clock start time?
Good
Because
question.
I ask that because, on the one hand, if people work in Boston, by the time they get home from work and try to eat something or take care of their kids, it's a hardship for those people who have children who work away from Byfield or Newbury to get to the town meeting. It's also a hardship that older people, as the point was made, don't want to stay too late at night. So, it's like,
My son is a good example. His house is over on High Road, and he works down in Boston. And he always goes to town meeting. I actually use him as one of the counters when we have standing votes. And he is rarely there by 7 because he's tied up in traffic coming back. And the problem of traffic coming back from Boston is ghastly. So he arrives usually about 7:15 to 7:30, and coming without having had any supper.
I know what you're talking about. I did that commute from Copley Square to home for 20-some years, and so it's beastly, and I know the feeling that you get there. I think the thing about whatever time we start is that you start a meeting on time and you move it efficiently.
yeah.
So I think it's up to the town to decide what is that best time. But once we decide what it is, to pick that time, to get the meeting started on time and
Do it crisply.
move it ahead,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
The trouble that I found in practice is
Yeah.
that at 7 o'clock sharp, there are still big lines waiting to have the backs of their hands stamped.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you hate to start the meeting ahead of them. On the other hand, at the beginning, there's a lot of folderol that goes on. It's routine stuff that doesn't reach
Absolutely.
the issues. So you can get done with the Pledge of Allegiance and the introduction of the boards and whatnot during the time to measure it right. By
Exactly.
about 7:10 or so, they're in and more or less all seated. You can really get going with Article 1. As a matter of fact, you can go through Articles 1 and 2 with nobody will complain because they weren't attending while we accept the reports of the various boards and whatnot, which is, yes.
I'd like to ask a question. One of the things I see at the Medical Society is the same problem. We have these bills that come up whether we're gonna go for it or not go for it. And we have 2 microphones. So people line up with the microphone that's for it and the other microphone against it. So the moderator knows right, we call him the speaker, knows right away that he's gonna have the same number of presentations from both microphones. And then he says, all sides having been heard, end of debate, we vote. And so that might make it easier if we did something like that. What do you think about that?
Well, it's hard to categorize every speaker as being either for or against. The speaker may have questions, the speaker may have a point of view that he wants to get out, but it's neither, it doesn't tend either for or against. So it's a little hard to do that kind of a division. So I think it's left to the discretion of the moderator to make sure that both sides have enough speakers to get their point out. I wish it could work mechanically that way, but it's,
Nothing else? Just a reminder, Election Day is on Tuesday, May 9th. The polls open at 7 a.m. and they close at 8 p.m. Absentee ballots are available and can be requested from the town clerk up until Monday at 12 noon. Okay?
And the Council on Aging van is available if you would like a ride to the polls between 2 and 6.
Yes, Susan, is there early voting?
That's basically just right now, it's the absentee ballot.
Okay,
That's your early voting.
thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you, candidates.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.